Ali Jafri, thank you very much for your kind introduction, and Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Good evening or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I want to take this opportunity first to thank you, my host here at Madinah Institute for Leadership and Entrepreneurship, for giving me this opportunity and honor to address all of you. And before I start my presentation, if you are wondering where Babson College is, so let me give you a brief introduction of my institution, where I come from. As you'll see from this slide, Babson College is located west of Boston. Boston is north of New York City in US, and we are a very small institution but known for our entrepreneurship programs, and that has been recognized in all these different journals and newspapers and magazines. So without further ado, let me talk for my topics today. The first, I want to share with you certain basic areas, and basically three of them. And one is that we are experiencing an unprecedented opportunity for entrepreneurs and managers and corporate leaders to create new businesses or new initiative. And I'll describe that opportunity. But unfortunately, there are, unfortunately, there are two major problems that have befuddled managers as well as entrepreneurs and business leaders. And I'll share with you those two problems, and finally I'll explain how entrepreneurial marketing can solve these problems and overcome some of the business challenges. So let's first look at the opportunity at hand. I believe we are living in a very wonderful and unique moment in history that provides an unprecedented opportunity for companies with an entrepreneurial mindset. So let me begin by quoting Charles Darwin, the father of the theory of evolution. He says, as I quote, "It's not the strongest of the species that survive, not the most intelligent, but the one that is most responsive to change." I believe that we can discover some interesting parallel between how plants and animals grow, survive, and die, and how business attempt to do the same. Studying the field of evolution and understanding more contemporary concepts that extend upon Darwin's early work can open windows to understand the role of entrepreneurship and opportunity in business. I believe that evolutionary change can be good news or bad, depending upon who we are and where we are and what we do. For example, for these guys, it was pretty bad. Let me explain. When the dinosaurs walked the earth, it was around 4.5 billion years old. Unfortunately for the dinosaurs, but luckily for us, around 65 million years ago, there was a giant asteroid hit the Earth, which created the nuclear blast and created the nuclear winter. And that nuclear winter ensued cleaning up much of the planet, all the materials and living organisms. And for dinosaurs, it was bad because its size, strength, and weight instantly became a liability. But that basically killed the dinosaurs, but it created an opportunity for small mammals of that time who could hide in the crevices and come back, and no longer the threat of dinosaurs was there. So as you see, the evolution is a very slow process. Adapting the change comes very slowly. But so long as the environment is stable, the evolution works. But when the environment changes very drastically, as it happened to dinosaurs, companies like us, it's very difficult for us to survive in that radical changes. And so the question is, where does this change come from? One major source is technology. Technology feeds upon itself. As you can see from this graph, the rate of change of technology is accelerating as we pass by. It used to take 50 years to adopt some telephone service in 1940s, 1950s. Now it takes few weeks or months to adopt the things happening in social media. So how does, as a business, we cope up with this rapid change of technology? And what is our success rate with all the new opportunity we are launching today in the business world? Unfortunately, the record is not that great. If you look at the new business initiative for the last few years in the United States and other rest of the world, the failure rate always exceeds the success rate. And you must be wondering, why is that? I mean, as a business, the cost of doing business is going down, but the cost of failure is still there high, and the failure rate is high. So let me explain with the two reasons why this is happening when the change is so rapid. One problem is the selective analysis. We are unable to properly analyze prior businesses or learn from our mistakes and failure. And I'll give an example. Have some of you seen that movie Slumdog Millionaire, which got Oscar from India a couple of years ago? It was a terrific movie. It tells the story of a young, not particularly bright or unique contestant who gets all 12 questions right, calling upon 12 unusual experiences from his past. The movie is a wonderful example of how we can represent or perceive or define event as having been experienced. But stories like this are always interesting because it's what we occur. Unfortunately, we observe them and we think that is very interesting and unique and we take it for granted. But we ignore all of the lost contestants who lost that particular game in the Slumdog Millionaire. But we only study and experience and believe the successes. Same thing happened in business. We all know Bill Gates is a very successful entrepreneur and a business leader, but we don't know there are so many other Bill Gates who were not successful. So we only study the success and try to learn from that, but we may not learn from the mistakes. And we forget that there's no patterns, only diligence, hard work, and good help of blind luck can make you successful in the businesses. So let's look at the second problem. One is a selective analysis, and the other one is callous. What is callous? It's the effect of randomness and how that randomness impacts businesses. Let me illustrate this callous or random problem with an example from a random walk. This is an attempt by imagine a company making a business, and they have certain level of skills and expertise, and they have certain success in goal, and they think they can march forward from the skill set or competency to achieve their success. Unfortunately for them, the path is not straight line, it's a zigzag, and it requires a lot of diversions and a lot of interruptions. And all this creates more customer interaction, and it also shaped by how competition is acting on your business idea and proposal. So this graph is basically what Robert Brown's Brownian motion is called. And this is the same thing happen in a business. You cannot simply go in a straight line. You have to go through several processes, and some bit of randomness is inherent in any business idea today. So the question is, how do you find success? Finding a success for a company is learning to balance survival with the growth. One cannot simply define a goal and march towards it in a linear fashion. One must deal with the randomness and the reality of meeting your obligation and then making enough money along the way to survive. So just to summarize at this stage what I've said so far, I've told you that because of the evolutionary pressure on technology, an unusual opportunity for manager has emerged. But I also told you that the randomness of the environment along with our inability to properly analyze the past lead mostly to business failure. So what do we do as a manager or a corporate leader? Well, there is a certain solution to think entrepreneurially and we have an entrepreneurial mindset. So what is entrepreneurial marketing? Let me just give you a brief descriptions, and then I'll come forward with a much more detailed discussion on how entrepreneurial marketing can solve today's business challenges. Entrepreneurs, by definition, has to be innovative. They have to do something different, something new from what is happening in the past. They are willing to take risk because you don't know what will be the outcome. You should make things happen, proactive, not reactive. And as an entrepreneur, you'll be obsessed with opportunity, and you must have a focus on what customer wants and desire. And since as an entrepreneur you have a small limited resources, you have to use your resource very wisely and try to leverage that resources more effectively. So how does this entrepreneurial mindset help today's business world? Because in today's business world we are experiencing a lot of discontinuity, paradigm shift, disruptive technology, growth of emerging market in Asia and Latin America, and it's disrupting the old way of doing business. And we don't have enough resources to come up with a new product because failure rate is so high. So all these different ways of thinking, being innovative, proactive, opportunity driven, and customer focused with the limited resources can help today's leader. So let me tell you how it can be done and what are the challenges we basically going to address. So let's now look at how entrepreneurial mindset can help managers overcome some of the business challenges. I will cover 3 specific challenges, and I'm not saying that these are the only challenges managers face today, but these are the challenges where entrepreneurial mindset and marketing can be very effective. So here are those 3 challenges I'm going to discuss in detail now. First, identifying and acting on opportunity. So let's look at this opportunity. As you see, in order to start a new initiative or to grow your business, you must have an opportunity. But the question is, how do you see an opportunity? And how do you identify this opportunity? And once you identify, how do you know this is the right opportunity for you to act on? Should you seize on this opportunity? Should you act, or should you postpone and see how others are acting on this opportunity? So here, these are the questions as a manager we face today, and we wonder how we're going to identify opportunity and then evaluate those opportunities so that we find the right opportunity for our success. So to see the opportunity, you have to look outside in the environment and see what is happening. So let me first describe some of the trends we are seeing today in our world. First, the affluence is increasing. And because of affluence all over the world, people are now having an affordable luxury. What do I mean by that? Since our income is increasing, I may not take the expensive vacation or spend $10,000 or 10,000 real, but once in a while, I want to indulge myself by taking a nice cup of coffee or going to a nice movie or restaurant or buying a nice set of dress or household appliances. So this is what is happening all over the world. As a result, customers are now spending more money on life, little indulgences. And as an entrepreneur or a business leader, you try to come up with a product like this. In the United States, companies like Starbucks, Best Buy, Bed Bath & Beyond has taken advantage of this trend of affordable luxury, where people are willing to spend some little more money for sipping a cup of coffee or buying new dresses or buying new appliances and kitchen goods for their homes. The next trend we see is that people are aging. Number of old people, the number of people beyond 60 years old are increasing all over the world. It may not be true in Middle East or in Gulf country, but aging is a serious issue in all over the world. And due to the aging, what happens? Because people are aging, the health become a big concern for many of us. Similarly, some people refuse to be call themselves old, and they want to beautify and they try to prevent aging. And some, because of their old, they want to take time out to go for entertainment and leisure and travel all over the world. So here's an opportunity for some company to invest in these 3 sectors: health, beautification, and leisure and entertainment. The next trend is greening. All over the world, there's a concern about the pollution, global climate change, carbon footprint, and so on. And as a result, there's a need for sustainable energy consumption and social responsibility. And we are seeing this even in Middle East. Like, I was watching a TV documentary the other day, and it was saying in Middle East the camel population is dying because they're consuming lots of trash discarded all over the sand dunes. And the camels are thinking those are the food item, and they're consuming those plastic bottles, and it's creating a health hazard for them. So in order to sustain your environment, you have to come up with a situation where you might make a trash which is biodegradable, not using the plastic. Similarly, another trend we are seeing today in the world is people are getting always connected to their mobiles, cell phone, and so on. And as a result, companies who are developing location-based services or services through the mobile network will be in a different ball game than the company who are still using the landlines or in internet-based or computer-based. Similarly, customers are also, or the population at large, are also using the social media like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and sharing information with each other. And that creates a customized marketing and opportunity of selling product through these network groups. So imagine how this trend is impacting. In old days, we used to listen to the news and get the information by watching TV. Then we started getting from the internet and the hardware in the computer or the laptop in our office or the study room. But now we want to access everything through the mobile. So how does this world will create opportunity for all of us? Is there any systematic way we could identify the opportunity, or can we see which opportunity is for what pursuing? So let me next give you the framework, the way we can identify an opportunity. So this is the 5C framework, we call it in marketing in US. And if you see why it's called 5C, because it's the 5 words start with the letter C. So if you look at these 5 different factors, that will give an idea how you can create or identify an opportunity. So let me first start with the context. What is context? Context is the broad macro environment facing your company or an organization. And this broad macro environment could be political factors, could be economical factor, societal or technological factor, or even environmental factor. In a context, we can see there's a governments are intervening in the business sector. They're creating a lot of regulation and or deregulation for that matter, and it creates opportunity for many companies. Like here in US and in UK, because of the telecom monopoly deregulation, we see that companies like BSkyB or Verizon came into an existence. Similarly, we saw over the last 10-15 years internet revolution, and because of the internet revolution, we see the companies like eBay, Google, Facebook, and so on. As a matter of fact, Facebook is going up for IPO in the next couple of months. So all these changes taking place in the environment create a new opportunity for an entrepreneur or a smart business leader. Why is that? Because the change in the environment means that old way of doing business is coming to an end. A new paradigm is emerging. And as an entrepreneur or a business leader with an entrepreneurial mindset can seize these changes. So change spells opportunity for a business leader. So the one takeaway from this is that when you're looking at the environment, look for the changes, and that should give a signal to you that some opportunity might emerge soon. So let's now look to the next factor, customer, or your potential customer for that matter. So how do I study my potential customer and identify some opportunity? So here the main issue is that if the customer is unhappy with the existing product or services, or they think that they're not getting their needs satisfied, that should spell an opportunity for you. So for example, in US, the US Postal Service was not very reliable in delivering the mails, and customers were unhappy, and that created an opportunity for FedEx and UPS to come into this market. So if you're a business leader and looking for opportunity, and go and study your potential customers or your existing customer and see why they are unhappy and what is the reason for their unhappiness, or is there any need you simply are not meeting, or the needs are not met by your existing competitors, and that will create an opportunity for you. Next are the competitors. So you need, even if you didn't launch a business, you should identify that some of the product or substitute your potential customer might be getting today, and that will be they will be your competitors. So what can you study from the competition that will spell opportunity for you? So for a competition, you should look for the way they're doing their businesses and where they're very weak, where they're not doing the job properly, where they're making customers unhappy, and that will be the source of your opportunity for you. So you look for competitors' weaknesses, and that is an idea for you to launch businesses. So let me give some example here. In all over the world, when you travel from point A to point B, most often you have to go through the big hubs like New York, Dubai, London, Frankfurt, Hong Kong, Singapore, and so on. But let's say if I want to go from a small place in Kansas to Madinah for that matter, I have to go through this big airport. I cannot go from point A to point B directly. And that is the weaknesses of the big airline, because A, they don't make money, so that's why they don't want to serve those markets, or they want everybody to bring to their hub like London or Dubai, and from there they want to send it to a smaller market. So that creates an opportunity for other companies to launch airline services from point A to point B directly. And that was the exact story of JetBlue and Southwest Airlines in the United States, and EasyJets and Ryanair's in UK, and similarly Air Tigers and others in Asia. So you look for a competitor's weaknesses, and from that you can launch some business opportunity. The next is the collaborators or your partners. So who are your collaborators or partners? On the upside, your suppliers, or in the downside, your retailers and distribution channel. And see whether you could identify some areas which is win-win for both you and your partner. So you're looking for the shared interest between you and your partner, and how that can create opportunity. Well, let me give an example. When eBay was launched in United States, it was basically bringing buyers and sellers together on the eBay website to sell any product and services. But soon eBay realized that it simply cannot have enough business idea, so it allowed other entrepreneurs to open a storefront, and through that they can do their business, and thereby increases the store traffic or the website traffic for eBay. Similarly, when Apple launched the iTunes service on the web, Apple didn't have all the application for iPhone or iPod for that matter. So Apple opened up the app ecosystem for anybody to come up with the apps and sell to the Apple website. So this is the shared interest I'm talking about. So as a business leader, if you can find out some opportunity which is a win-win for both you and other partner, go and approach them, and through that you can walk out and come up with the new ideas or services. Finally, the company or you as an entrepreneur, you want to develop some product. And how do you create an opportunity? So look inside in your strength and find out what is your core competency, what's your knowledge base or skill set that differentiate you from others, and you can leverage that strength and competency and knowledge to launch your business. And that's the whole idea of all the entrepreneurs. They always look back inside themselves and see, what do I do good than somebody else? What do I do better than somebody else? And that's the way I can launch the business. And I'll give a small example here, is that one of the doctors in UK, his son has an eye problem, and he didn't find any remedy for that. He went and got all the medical professional. He couldn't find the help. And so ultimately he became knowledgeable himself, and then he tried to solve his son's problem, and in the process he realized that he knows so much about this particular eye disease nobody else knows, and if he can do something about, can start a business. And that's where he launched his business called Optos in UK. So here are just a few examples I gave you about how to identify a market opportunity. Just to sum up, you're looking at the 5 different C's. First, look at the context or the environment. C, something is changing, and through that you could identify some of the areas. Second, customers' dissatisfaction or the unmet need, competition or weaknesses, or your partner's shared interest, or your own knowledge and strength and competency. Please make a note that I'm not saying all these 5 C's should be present in every opportunity. In fact, some of the C's are interrelated, and maybe 1 or 2 or 3 different factors might be present in identifying an opportunity. So you don't have to look for all 5 C's to identify an opportunity. So having identified the opportunity, how do you then assess and evaluate the opportunity? In assessing an opportunity, the first thing you need to ask yourself, how big is this opportunity? And do a rough calculation in terms of market size. Like, how big is the market size in terms of number of customers? What's the likely market share I'm going to get it? How many quantities customer will buy it? What price they will pay? And if it's a frequently purchased category, How frequently will they buy? So all these factors together decide how big is the market. Once you think the market is big enough, then the question is, where does the idea or solution will come from? Are you going to develop that idea or solution in your lab, and you will be innovation driven and hope once you build, customer will come? Or you go to the customer first, find out their problems, and then come to the lab to come up with a solution? So are you going to develop a solution in search of a problem, or are you going to develop a solution in search of a problem, or problem in search of a solution? So in the marketing, we claim, we hope in the matter, for that matter, is that you as a manager always go to the customer first, because they need something, and only what need they have, you come back to your lab and try to solve those needs. But that's not true all the time. If you're developing a radical innovation or a disruptive technology, customer may not have an idea. So maybe at that time you might be innovation driven and go with your intuition and develop the product, and maybe hopefully customer will like it. And that's true for almost all radical innovation we have seen in the last 30-40 years, including the Sony's Walkman, DVD, iPod, and so on. Once you understand that the solution is deriving from either from a customer source or in your lab, the next question you need to ask is that, yes, this opportunity is good enough, big enough, but are we the right company to execute this opportunity in the marketplace? Do you have the resources and capabilities to make it successful in the marketplace? And even if we do successful, will customer believe us? Do you have the credibility? So for example, nowadays, there are a lot of good companies in South Korea, and they're doing a phenomenal job in innovating products in the US market. They're building that credibility so the customer will like them and prefer them over other Japanese make or European make cars and appliances. And the final point here in assessing opportunity is that this may be the right opportunity. Customer will believe us. This is a very big opportunity. We can make tons of money. But is this the right time for us? Are we ahead of the market, or are we late in the market? Again, I'll give an example here. Today, we all know Apple is a very successful company launching iTunes, iPod, iPhone, and iPad. But you'll be surprised, in 1985-86, Apple launched a PDA called Newton, and it wasn't successful because it was perceived by the customers too little, too early. It doesn't have enough feature, so it fell. So as a business leader, you need to ask yourself, not only opportunity should be big enough for me to make money, but is the right time for us to enter into this market with the right product to the right customers? So as you see, there's a lot of issues you need to answer while evaluating the opportunity, but what compound the matter further is your risk tolerance, because you are not sure whether an opportunity you're going to act on will be successful in the marketplace, because the time you take action in exploiting an opportunity may be today, but once you launch the product, that may be 6 months down the road, and only then you'll see your success or failure. So sometimes what happens, that entrepreneurs or a manager are so passionate, they'll go ahead with their idea and launch the business, and then they will fail. Okay. And that's the cost of failure. On the other extreme, some managers or the leaders are so conservative, they don't want to take any risk, and they might miss some golden opportunity. So you need to decide whatever risk tolerance you're going to have, and that will dictate whatever opportunity you're going to have. If you're really afraid of failure, then you'll miss some opportunity. Okay. On the other hand, if you try to seize every opportunity, you fail most of the time. So you need to have a balance between these two. You simply cannot be too conservative or go passionate about every idea and every opportunity. And as a company, you need to create a culture, an environment where you encourage people to take the risk, but at the same time they should learn from their risk, and hopefully they'll come with the right balance of good opportunity and minimize the failure rate. So the next issue is, as a business group, So you have identified and act upon opportunity just now I described. The question is, how do I now act on that opportunity and come up with a value proposition for customer which is very compelling, and so that customer will come to us and not go to the competition. So that's the topic I'm going to discuss next. So once you identify an opportunity and decided to act on, creating the value is the most difficult part. In this slide, I identify 3 factors: creating, capturing, and sustaining value. And if you go back to your company and you just map all your failure and success of your business initiative, and you will see the most often the company fail in the new initiative because they fail to create values. What I mean by fail to create value, because they think they have created some product and solution, but customers are not convinced they're deriving the value from using their product or services. So that's what I mean by the fail to create values. Some companies are successful in creating value, but then they fail to capture value. The fail to capture value means that you have created the value, customer like your product and service, but the price they're willing to pay is not good enough for you to make money or profit out of it. So you have created the value, but you're not capturing the value, you're making losses. Some companies are successful in creating values as well as capturing value. That means they make money. But what happens is that once they become successful in the short run, other competitors can learn from their successes and beat them in the marketplace after a few months of their launch. So in other words, they cannot sustain their value in the long run. So most often the company fails, they don't create the value, or they create the value but they cannot capture, or if they capture, they cannot sustain the value. So as a manager or a leader, you need to ask these 3 questions. Can I create value? Will customer pay us? And will we make money out of this? And then we can make money in the short run, but can we sustain this advantage and making money in the long run? So this is the question you need to ask as a corporate leader. The next is managing change and sustaining value. And the question is how to survive. As I was discussing in the beginning, there's lots of random factors impact your businesses. So maintaining a positive cash flow is very important in your new business initiative. And the one way to do this is increasing sales. And once you survive with your idea or opportunity, you need to scale up and grow your business. Because if you don't grow, somebody else will beat you in the marketplace. You simply cannot stand still in the same place. So how do you grow your business? Do you grow with your existing business, or do you go with your new businesses in the existing market or in a new market? And then how do you sustain that advantage in the short run or in the long run? And finally, as a business leader, and mostly for entrepreneurial situation, how do you know when do you have to exit from that market? What's your exit strategy? So these are some of the issues you need to couple with, and marketing can help you. And how does marketing can help you? Because it can help you by differentiating and positioning your product, which is different from the competition, thereby customers are willing to pay extra price to you. Or through your branding, and customer likes your brand and they want to pay for that product. And I'll give one example here. In China today, the market is growing very rapidly, and there's a lot of Chinese manufacturers are developing products which can meet the needs of the Chinese customer. But one problem Chinese companies facing today is the branding, because many customers realize that the product may not be of good quality, or there's a lot of different chemicals mixed in the baby food or something like that, and they're not trusting that brand. Okay, so they are, in fact, we have an example here where companies are bringing the products from other country through a gray market and selling to the China and making tons of money because those brand names the customer is relying on. Okay, and other 2 areas where you can sustain the values is that how many new customers you are acquiring every time period, and those who have been acquired by you, how many of those customers are staying with you. So customer acquisition and retention is another good metric for you to know whether you'll be successful in the long run or not. And finally, the innovation. Only through innovation you could sustain your competitive advantage, because if you don't innovate, you die. Because if you don't innovate, sooner or later competition will catch up with you and they will beat you in the marketplace. And that's what is happening today in the world. So look at the Wii game. Nintendo launched the Wii game with the touch and console, and it was an innovative product a couple of years ago. It beat Xbox, Microsoft, and Sony and win the market. But now we didn't come up with the next generation of innovation, and as a result, it's struggling today. So you have to do all these things. You have to differentiate and positioning your product, which is different from the competition. You have to acquire new customer all the time and keep your happy customer in your family. Have a good brand name and keep innovating, and that's the way you could maintain your long-term competitive advantage. So how do you do all these things? Before I start, here's this one. So we are not all entrepreneurs. This is a quote from Muhammad Yunus, but only too few of us get to practice it. So how do you practice this entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial marketing for that matter? So I'll start with the 7 simple keys to entrepreneurial marketing success. And the first key is start by selling. Even before you develop your idea, you need to go to the customer and explain your idea and see whether the customer is willing to buy this product or services or not. Unless and until you have sold this product idea to the customer, you should not build this product. Now you must be wondering, how can I do that as a big company? Okay, so if you cannot do this all the time, so being your A customer, you can do the 80-20 rule, like 20% of your customer giving 80% of your businesses. So you can go to those customers and find out what are their needs and what type of challenges they're facing, and bring them into your product design, your idea design, and involve them in the early stage of the product development. And hopefully once they are sold to your idea, they'll buy your product and services. So start by selling your ideas as soon as possible. Second, develop a compelling customer value propositions and which will enforce customer that this is the only way they could derive this value and they cannot get it from anybody else. So in developing a compelling value proposition, you have to first identify what category you belong to, who's your target market, and the benefit you are proposing in your value proposition. Is it important to the customer? Is it different from the competition? And will customer believe the benefit you are claiming in your value proposition? You'll be surprised that many companies fail to do this simple test. Do this thing. Write in one sentence your customer value proposition. And in that one sentence, you should talk about to whom you are targeting, what you are offering, and why your offering is so unique and different that customer will come to you. And you'll be surprised it's very difficult to come up with a one sentence this customer value proposition. And once you do the customer value proposition, ask yourself, if I change my name in that value proposition statement by my competitor's name, do you think the statement makes sense? If that is true, then your customer value proposition is not unique or compelling. Third, don't die with your initiative soon. Try to have positive cash flow with your business, because there are so many random factors might derail you from your success. Fourth, you have a scarce limited resources, and you need to use these resources very efficiently and effectively. So you need to know how to leverage these resources by having creative marketing, using social media, guerrilla marketing, and buzz marketing. So let me give one example of the guerrilla marketing here. This is IKEA. IKEA sells furniture, we all know. So what they did to create this non-traditional marketing, which is very cost effective, at the same time create a buzz in the marketplace. So what they did, they converted a bus stop by making it look like a sofa, drawing room with a sofa and tables and so on. And it created a huge buzz in the media, and it picked up by the newspaper, TV, and radio station, and they get the attention of their target customer without spending too much money. So in today's world with the scarce resources, you have to come up with some idea like this, where people can pick up your idea and propagate in the internet and viral media. Fifth, you need to grow your network. In today's open world, you simply cannot do your business alone. You have to find a similar situation and partners all over the world, and through that you can broaden the focus of your marketplace, and you can also identify opportunity, what is happening in a different part of the world, and bring those ideas and an opportunity in your neighborhood. And sixth, you have to build credibility. As your business grows, you need to focus on finding ever larger and larger deals, partners, and customers, and your suppliers. And you have to prove yourself that you can be trusted all over the places to deliver what you're promising. And that's the only way you can grow and get your business. And finally, have fun. Entrepreneurship or business opportunity is really about making the trip in an unknown destination, and it's only about how much money you're going to make. Then that's not the business. You should have a passion, you should enjoy your business, and that's the only way you can be successful. I will end with a few of the words to consider. Many of life's failure are people who didn't realize how close they come to the success when they give up. This was the quote from Thomas Edison. And then there's another quote that if you want to succeed, double your failure rate. I have very briefly given you some idea of how to identify opportunity, how to evaluate opportunity, and how do you succeed in a business bit by having an entrepreneurial mindset. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to talk to you. I am going to end the discussion here, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ali. Folks, we're open for the questions now, so if you have any questions, you can always raise your hand. There is a hand icon on your webinar console, so if you click on it, I will be able to give you an opportunity to speak to Dr. Ali by unmuting you. Or you could equally put your questions in the chat box, and I'll be happy to read them over for you. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. There's a hand icon, and I will unmute you. Okay, we have a question. Yes, Marwa Abdul, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, Marwa. Can you please introduce yourself, where you're calling from, and please feel free to ask a question.
This is Marwa Adil. I'm coming from Cairo, Egypt, and my post is an advisor for international cooperation management and entrepreneurship.
Okay, welcome on board.
Thank you, Dr. Abdul, for the interesting presentation. I've really enjoyed it. And I do have a pretty simple question. This is how it looks, but it's full of complications. In fact, one of the teams I'm supervising for an entrepreneurship project, their idea, there's so much fun of their idea and they're passionate about it. However, they're competing in a very delicate field, which is training and development. Yes, I feel they have value in their content, in their executive summary, in the way they're even talking about it. However, during the last 3 years in Egypt particularly, we have a massive number of training and development consultancies in Egypt. I don't mean they're having a useless idea or a repetitive idea, but it's putting the, like they say, the glittery touches on their project to make it really unique. This is the tough point where I'm somehow stuck. They've prepared an idea where they're actually having affiliations with international companies from day zero, companies with so much background and so much competition from different countries around the world. But my instinct tells me that they still need to make it more glittery. How can you make such an idea or such a concept which is so much available in your country unique? I'm stuck with this question actually, and that's why I'm asking it.
Oh, I see. Thank you very much. Sorry. Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, Dr. Abdul, I can hear you very well.
Okay. Without knowing full detail about the type of business you're talking about, let me give the answer in general, and if I can be a little bit specific, I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you.
When you're developing the idea and you're saying there's a lot of similar services are provided by the local company as well as the international company, am I right?
They're offering a local service using several international companies.
I see. So the one thing is going for you is that you are the local venture. So naturally, the local client should trust you. On the other hand, local client also might be suspicious that how could you deliver better value than some international giant company who has such a big reputation all over the world. So you have to overcome those suspicions or weaknesses. But at the same time, you are not operating in the same market. So you have to identify your niche where the big, large corporation simply cannot compete with you. Okay, so you have to identify the segment or niche where you want to do it. And one way to validate your idea will be to go sell your idea first. First identify who will be the likely customers for your ideas, and go and talk to them and see whether they want to buy your product and service or not. So that's the only way you could validate the idea and all this. And the third thing you should do about whether it's a different or unique or not, so do one thing, develop in an Excel spreadsheet, or if you don't have an Excel spreadsheet, you create a tables. And the table, the first column is all the important benefits your potential target market is looking for. All the potential benefits, okay? Then the next few columns will be you and your competitors. So in the first column is all the benefit from the left side. The second column is you, and the third, fourth, fifth column is your likely competitors. And then rate yourself and your competitor across those benefits. And this is the problem many company does, or many entrepreneur does. They are so passionate about their idea and they think they're so unique and compelling, they rate themselves best in all the dimension customer is looking for, and that's the danger signal. You cannot be good at everything. So go and ask your target customer and see where you are good at and where you are not so good at, and that's the only way you could differentiate and find what type of compelling value proposition you can develop. I hope I'm answering your question, but I'm not sure, but we can always chat later on, or you can email me and we can give you a different direction, okay?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdul. And if you don't mind, then if the team could send me your email so that we can speak specifically about it, I would appreciate it.
I leave it to Ali to answer that.
Yeah, yes, Marwa. I mean, post-webinar, we will be discussing it with Dr. Abdul. However, I mean, the details will be uploaded on our blog, and we shall be intimating all the participants with the link.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Abdul, and thank you, Ali.
Thank you very much, Marwa. Thanks for your questions. Folks, other questions, again, please feel free to ask and raise your hand. You can put it in the chat box. I see another hand raised by Mr. Adnan Ahmed. Can you hear us, Mr. Adnan?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Adnan, can you please introduce yourself and where you're calling from, and feel free to ask a question.
Assalamu alaikum. Firstly, I want to say just shukran jazeelan for the webinar. It's fantastic, alhamdulillah. My name is Adnan Ahmed. I'm from London. I kind of have two roles. One of them is I run a multimedia company, but one of the other things I do is we run a charity where we teach young people about social entrepreneurship. One of the kind of questions I have is that one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to get businesses involved as well. And where I find a problem is trying to find the right price to charge companies, because it's something that isn't easily found, you know, what price you should be charging different companies. So I was wondering if you had any advice on that kind of area.
Okay. Adnan, that's some excellent questions. As an entrepreneur or a business, you always worried, am I leaving money on the table? Should I charge a little bit more? Or should I charge really, really lot of more? Okay. So how do you know what is the right price? Okay. So one way to do it is that first identify all the different benefits you think you're giving in your product and services and customer are getting it. Okay. Now, once you identify all these benefits, then see which of this benefit customer thinks they're getting it, and some benefit customer think they are not getting. So that's a communication problem. So you have to convince the customer that those benefits are also offered by your product and services and they're getting it. Okay. So that's the first part. Second, you have to classify all this benefit into a 2x2 matrix. And let me explain. I wish I could have shown you the picture, but I don't have right now. So some of the benefits are in tangible nature. What do I mean by tangible? That once you offer this benefit, customer can touch it, feel it, smell it, see it, and know, yes, the benefit they're getting. And let me give an example. When you buy a new car, if you say, I'm giving 500 horsepower, the customer immediately says, wow, that means I can speed up on the highways or the roads. So they know that benefit is tangible benefit. On the other hand, if you say that I'm going to give a new car with a low maintenance cost or very high reliability, and customer doesn't see at the time of purchase. So it's a tangible, intangible benefit, but it's a financial in nature, because if the car breaks down, they have to fix it. So they don't see it at the time of purchase. It's intangible, but it's a financial in nature. Another benefit is intangible and non-financial. So if I say I'm a reputable company and I'm serving this product and services to you, customer doesn't see your reputation. They don't feel it, okay? So it's intangible and non-financial. So the point I'm getting is that try to classify all the important benefit which customer thinks they're getting it, and customer might think they may not get it. So identify all those benefits, then classify in whether it's a tangible or intangible, financial or non-financial nature. And then you'll realize those benefits which are tangible and financial in nature is easy to convince, and you could get the money for that. Those benefits which are intangible or non-financial in nature is very difficult to convince customer to pay for it and all this thing. So that's the one way to go at it, to come up with a pricing value. Then the next thing, pricing implementation. How do you implement the pricing? Here's my thought. If you know that your idea services can be copied, or your product life cycle is very short, you have to recoup your investment as soon as possible. So start with the high price. And once you start at the high price, if nobody comes and buy your product and service, you know you have to lower it. But if you start with the low price, then you never know, you could have gotten higher prices, okay? So my advice to, if you don't know anything, start with the high price and lower it subsequently, and try to come up with a price based on the type of benefits you're offering. Again, I hope this is satisfy your queries, or it's a very short, limited time. So this is my answer.
Jazakallah khairan for it.
Thank you. Well, you're welcome.
Adnan, thank you very much for the question. We have been receiving questions in the chat box, so I would go and read through some of the interesting ones. Let me see. We have one from Brother Yasser, who has written, to sustain the idea or business successfully, how important is it to look for capital ventures? Is it recommended to look for JV partners in the start of the business with brilliant ideas, or once it is a more sustainable, profitable business?
This is what we talk about in US, and especially in the entrepreneurial context, is that the moment you go for getting the funding from a partner, it's a kiss of death. Because imagine the partner, especially for the venture capitalists, they try to maximize their return on their investment, and they know that they might invest into 10 different proposals, and one of the proposals will be hitting the jackpot, and they make millions and millions of money or dollars. So naturally for them, if one idea or business fail, they can always console themselves by hitting a jackpot in somewhere else. But if you're this one of those companies where they think you're not viable, then you lose your business. So our advice and recommendation is that don't go to the VC, try to fund with your own source and generate the cash in your business. That's the first thing. Second is that when you go for funding, the question is, should you go as soon as you have the idea, or should you start developing the prototype or market the product and then go to the potential partner? Here's the thought. If you go to a potential partner and asking for money without anything to show, naturally that partner will demand lot of return and come up with a very, very tight negotiation, which may not be beneficial for you. But if you prove the concept, if you see that your business is working, customers are coming, then you are in a bargaining position and you could extract better negotiation term from the partner. So the idea is that if you go to the partner without proving your concept, be prepared that you will not get a better negotiating term. But if you prove the concept, you see that the revenue is coming to your businesses, and then you are on the upper hand and you can negotiate and get the better terms. So that will be my quick advice.
All right, thank you very much. We have a few more minutes. I think I can take a question. Let me see, we have another hand raised. Mr. Ahmed, Abrar Ahmed, can you hear us? Mr. Ahmed, can you hear us? Fortunately, I think we lost him. Let me go back to the chat box. There's another one. This one came from Brother Ali. You mentioned start by selling your ideas, but isn't it too risky in the competitive environment to reveal the ideas to others?
That's some excellent questions. Yes, we get this comment all the time when we say this, start by selling the idea first. Okay. So the question is whom you are selling this idea. When you are doing your research or when you are thinking about launching a business initiative, you are thinking about a type of customer who will be receptive to that idea. So you are going to only those people who are in dire need of that product or services, who have really felt the pain and they want to do something to solve their pains. So you're going those type of people, okay, in relationship. And the reason they have not yet developed the idea because they may be busy or that may not be their main focus of their businesses, and that's why they didn't develop the idea. So we think that if you go to those type of people who really felt the need but have the money to solve it, but they don't have time to solve it, or that's not their main focus, so they may not copy your ideas. So and since you've already done so much research and asking for the business as an order from the customer, somebody else who might get your hold of your idea, they'll be way behind than you to find the customer, because finding the customer willing to pay for your services is much better proposition than just developing the idea in the dark, because you need less money and you have a receptive customer with you. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Again, there are a few more questions. There's one from Brother Naeem asking, has there been a study which tells what are the top reasons for entrepreneurs to fail?
Top reason for entrepreneur to fail?
Yeah.
Yes, there are lots of study. Am I making the right statement? Top reason to fail?
Yeah, it's the question is, has there been a study which tells what are the top reasons for an entrepreneur to fail?
Yes, there are lots of studies actually. There's a lot of entrepreneur journals, for that matter, which has published such studies. Very briefly, most entrepreneurs fails not because they don't have the great idea. They fail because they run out of cash. So positive cash flow is very, very important for you to survive in the short run. And that's why I was telling, as an entrepreneur, so many random things might happen and impact your business. So how do you survive? So positive cash flow is the first factor, which is real necessity for success and survival. So most companies fail because they run out of money. The second reason is that they are so passionate of their idea. They think the idea is so unique, they don't take into consideration customer perspective. What does the customer think? They might think it's the greatest idea, but customer may not think so. Okay, so that's the second factor they look into. Third, they overestimate their competency that they can execute it, but they underestimate this customer reluctance to buy these products and all this. So this is the top 3 factors we have identified, and researchers have found this factor. There are many other factors, and any entrepreneurial journals publishes these studies, and you can take a look at those.
Okay, thank you very much. Another interesting one. Doesn't the constant change environment requires to have a random walk in entrepreneurship rather than going through a normal straight line success strategy?
Yes, that's the whole point. I'm also saying the same thing, because there's so many things changing in the marketplace and in the environment. You simply cannot follow one linear strategy. You have to be flexible, nimble, so that you can change your strategy and adapt to your situation. And that's why we call this an effectuation strategy. Like, what do I know? How do I know? And so you go and rely on your means instead of relying on your ends. So your objective and the end vision should emerge from little activity you take to cope up with the random shocks you are getting in your company.
Okay. I think I can read another one. Last question. There's one posted which reads, in the era of information highway, do we classify entrepreneurs into infopreneurs, netrepreneurs, or they're all the same on different platforms yet facing same challenges?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Can you read it properly? I couldn't hear you properly.
In the era of information highway, do we classify entrepreneurs into infopreneurs, netrepreneurs, etc., or they all are the same on different platforms yet facing same challenges? I think it's more of an question.
Okay, yeah, an excellent question. So what basically you are saying that there are certain characteristics of entrepreneurship, or the key requirement for success criteria is uniform across all entrepreneurs, irrespective of which sector they operate. Okay, information industry, or internet industry, or consumer product, or industrial product, and so on. Yeah. And then there's another set of characteristics which are very idiosyncratic and unique to that particular industry or sector. Yes, that's true. For example, in information in a digitized age, any analog product and services which can be digitized will be digitized and eventually will be served to customers. So definitely in a digital business, developing the idea or the fixed cost is very high, but the variable cost is very low. The marginal cost is very low, because once you create your software, it takes millions of dollars to create the software, but then to make multiple copies, it takes few cents. So how do you operate in that business versus another business like in airlines? The fixed cost is high, so is the variable cost. And maybe another industry like in insurance or in insurance service, I could all set up my insurance business in an office room where the fixed cost is very low, the variable cost of hiring people is very high in the call center and so on. So yes, you're absolutely right. There are certain characteristics which are very idiosyncratic to that industry, but the main success criteria of entrepreneurs still remains same no matter which sector you come from, and that is you should be proactive, you should be willing to take risks, you should be obsessed with opportunity, and you should be focused on your customers.
Well, thank you very much. That really brings towards the end of our webinar. I'm reading a lot of comments, appreciating and commending the webinar, saying it was an excellent lecture and quite an interactive one indeed. I would like to thank you, Dr. Abdul Ali, on behalf of MAL for your time and willingness to share this valuable information and experiences with our participants. Also, thanks to all of you who participated. We are glad you could join us and hope this session was helpful for you. We will be emailing you the link to a recorded version of this webinar in a couple of days once it is uploaded on our blog. Please note our other upcoming high impact programs in year 2012 on high performance telecom and program for advanced leadership and management and high performance governance HPG are currently accepting applications for enrollment and selection. Please do visit our website www.mile.org to get more details about these programs and webinars. Thank you once again, Dr. Abdul Ali, and everybody who joined us today, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Dr. Abdul Ali,
welcome. And
I will be here. Yeah, please go ahead if you have any concluding remarks.
no, I'm saying that welcome, and thank you again for giving me this opportunity to share my ideas with you. Hope you enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to meeting some of you in near future.
Thank you very much, sir, and indeed we are looking forward to meet you in Madinah. So I will be closing the webinar, so it will be, everybody will be automatically dismissed out, and thank you very much once again.